The desert tastes like copper and cordite. Maya Cross lies flat against sun-scorched rock, left thigh, painted dark with blood that won't stop coming. Shrapnel from the RPG blast, maybe 3 inches deep, maybe nicked the femoral. She doesn't have time to check. Doesn't have time for anything except the radio pressed against her lips and the 18 men scattered across this godforsaken canyon who will die if she stops talking. Walsh listened to me, her voice steady despite the fire spreading through her leg. Tourniquet on Sullivan's thigh. You've got 60 seconds before he loses consciousness, maybe 90 before his brain starts dying. You understand? Static gunfire. Then Brennan Walsh's voice, young and terrified. Doc, I can't, the bleeding. You can, wrap it 4 inches above the wound, tight enough that you think you're breaking his leg. Turn the windlass until the bleeding stops, not until it slows. Stops. You hear me? Roger, Move, Walsh, move now. She releases the transmit button, closes her eyes for exactly 2 seconds, opens them again because 2 seconds is all she can afford. Above her, the canyon walls climb toward a sky too blue to contain this much violence. Below, 6 Humvees sit like dying animals, metal torn and smoking. Vehicle 2 on its side, flames licking at the fuel tank. Vehicle 4 taking fire from the North Ridge Marines pinned behind it with nowhere to go. And somewhere in this chaos, Chief Ryan Hayes isn't answering his radio. The team's primary sniper, 30 years of experience, silent since the first explosion. Maya keys the radio again. Stone Cross needs sitrep on Hayes. Commander Victor Stone's voice comes back clipped, professional, but she hears the edge underneath, the calculation. Hayes is down, unconscious. Morrison's trying to reach him, but we're taking heavy fire from 3 positions. East Canyon, North Ridge, South Outcrop. We need eyes on those shooters or we're not making it out of here. She knows what he's not saying. They need a sniper. They need someone who can reach the Barrett M82A1 that's sitting somewhere in the wreckage of Vehicle 2. They need someone who isn't supposed to exist. Copy that, sir. Working on it. She closes her eyes again. This time for 3 seconds. Counts her heartbeats. 72 per minute. Still good. Still functioning. The leg will hold. Has to hold. When she opens her eyes, she's looking at her own hands. Steady, trained, capable of suturing an artery at 2 in the morning or calculating windage at 1,200 meters. Her father taught her that. Taught her that the steadiest hands belong to people who understand what they're holding and what it costs to use it. The radio crackles. Doc Sullivan's stable. The bleeding stopped. Good work, Walsh. Stay with him. Keep pressure on that wound. She breathes. In through her nose 4 seconds. Hold for 7. Out through her mouth for 8. The same pattern her father taught her in the Arizona desert when she was 12 years old, and the Barrett's recoil could still knock her flat. 48 hours ago, she was standing in an armory staring at that same rifle through bulletproof glass. 48 hours ago, this hadn't started yet. 48 hours ago, she still thought she could keep her promise. The Barrett May 2A1 rests in its case like a sleeping predator. 50 caliber, 30 pounds of steel and purpose. Effective range over a mile. The kind of weapon that doesn't just end threats, it erases them from existence at distances most men can't see clearly, let alone shoot accurately. Maya stands 3 feet from the glass partition, close enough to see her reflection superimposed over the rifle. 26 years old, 5'4", 118 pounds. Navy hospital corpsman, 5 years of service, 53, confirmed lives saved through direct medical intervention. 0 disciplinary actions. Model sailor, professional medic, and absolutely unequivocally forbidden from touching the weapon in front of her. Petty Officer Cross. Commander Victor Stone's voice comes from behind her, low and flat, not a greeting, a statement of territorial awareness. The kind of voice that comes from 30 years of making hard decisions and living with every single one of them. Maya doesn't turn around. Her eyes stay locked on the Barrett. On the way, morning light catches the scope's lens. On the bipod legs folded tight against the barrel, like a raptor's talons at rest. Sir, she acknowledges. Stone steps beside her. 52 years old, gray threading through hair that used to be dark. Face lined with decisions that left scars deeper than shrapnel ever could. He's been a Navy SEAL since before Maya was born. Has operated in places whose names are still classified. Has learned the hard way that the most dangerous weapon isn't the one in your hands. It's the certainty that you know when to use it. They stand in silence for 10 seconds. Both looking at the rifle, both thinking different thoughts about what it represents. Beautiful piece of equipment, Stone says quietly. Yes, sir. Hayes' personal weapon, He's carried variants of that rifle for 28 years. Knows it better than most men know their own wives. Stone pauses, watches her reflection in the glass. You know why it's locked up. Security protocol, sir. Try again. Maya's jaw tightens. She knows. Of course she knows. Everyone knows. 7 months ago, a combat medic named Harlan Cross took a Barrett into a firefight outside Kabul. Intel called it a cleanup. Fog rolled through the valley. He panicked, fired through the white, hit an Allied vehicle. 2 Marines died before anyone understood what happened. That's right. Stone's voice has gone quieter, harder. I had to write 2 letters. 2 families. Explaining how their sons died because someone thought they could handle a weapon they had no business touching. He turns to face her fully now. Harlan Cross never fired another round. Medical discharge. Last I heard, the kid couldn't sleep without medication and couldn't look at his own hands without seeing blood that wasn't there. Maya says nothing, just keeps her eyes on the Barrett, on the potential and the danger wrapped together in 30 pounds of metal. Touch that weapon without my direct order, Cross, and you're finished. Stone's voice drops even lower. Not suspended, not transferred. Finished. Do you understand me, petty officer? Yes, sir. But her right hand twitches. Just once. Thumb and forefinger moving in a pattern, like she's checking something, adjusting something. The motion so automatic she doesn't even realize she's doing it until it's done. Stone sees it. Something flickers across his face. Recognition, maybe, or concern. He studies her reflection for another 5 seconds, the way a man might study a puzzle he's not sure he wants to solve. Then he turns and walks away, boot heels echoing on concrete. Doesn't look back. Behind him, Maya whispers to the rifle, voice barely audible over the armory's ventilation system. Not yet, but soon. The Barrett, of course, says nothing. But if metal could remember, if steel could hold the ghost of every hand that ever gripped it, this one would recognize what's coming, would know her touch already, would know it's only a matter of time. The briefing room smells like bad coffee and the particular breed of anxiety that comes before operations. 14 people crammed into a space designed for 10. Maps on screens, weather data scrolling, the mechanical rhythm of people preparing for something they hope will be boring. Commander Stone stands at the front, pointer in hand, tactical display glowing behind him. Mission brief for Operation Sultan Ridge. Supply convoy 6 vehicles 47 miles through Mojave Desert training area. Objective is delivery of medical supplies and ammunition to forward operating post Sultan Ridge. Intel assessment, low threat routine training, evolution. Maya sits in the back row, medical bag at her feet, taking notes in a small field notebook. Precise handwriting, professional annotations. The kind of preparation that looks exactly like what a good medic should be doing. Vehicle assignments, Stone continues. Vehicle 1, myself, command element, 2 Marines. Vehicle 2, Chief Hayes, primary sniper, Morrison spotter. Vehicle 3, Briggs Walsh, 4 cross medical. 5 and 6 Marines supplies. Garrett Briggs raises his hand, 28 years old, built like a refrigerator. Machine gunner with opinions louder than his weapon. Red hair, buzzed military, short face, perpetually sunburned from desert training. The kind of man who speaks his mind and doesn't understand why that's sometimes a problem. Yeah, sir. Why are we bringing 2 medics on a routine supply run? No offense to Doc Cross, but seems like 1 medic's plenty for routine. She can't handle it alone. A few chuckles ripple through the room. Not malicious. Just the kind of professional banter that happens in teams where everyone knows everyone else's job, where trust gets earned in blood and competence, not handed out with rank insignia. Stone's expression doesn't change, because routine is when you get complacent Briggs, and complacent is when people die. Cross and Walsh are insurance. Pray we don't need them. Briggs shrugs. Just saying, sir. We've run heavier ops with 1 medic. 2 seems like overkill for a supply run. Maya doesn't react. Doesn't look up from her notes, just keeps writing. Annotations about heat casualties, about distances between vehicles, about response times if something goes wrong. Let Briggs think what he wants. Underestimation is its own kind of armor, but she feels it. The subtle shift in the room, the way 3 other team members glance at her, then at each other. The unspoken question, can Doc Cross actually handle a high-stress situation alone? Or is command babysitting her? Stone moves on with the briefing. Weather forecast, route details, radio procedures, standard stuff. But Maya can feel the weight of Briggs' question hanging in the air like smoke that won't clear. Outside in the bright California morning, the Humvees sit in a neat line, engines already warm. Maya approaches Vehicle 4, finds Derek Morrison doing pre-mission checks on Vehicle 2, securing equipment, with the methodical precision of someone who's done this 1,000 times. Morrison is 32, 7 years as Hayes' spotter. Quiet, observant. The kind of man who sees everything and says only what matters. He looks up as Maya approaches, studies her for a moment. Cross. He nods toward the rifle mounted in Vehicle 2. You know the difference between 5.56 and 7.62, Maya stops. Recognizes the test for what it is. Morrison isn't trying to embarrass her. He's trying to establish baseline. Figure out if she knows her stuff or if she's just good at looking professional. 5.56 NATO as lighter tumbles on impact creates more internal tissue damage through cavitation. Velocity around 3,000 feet per second. Effective range 400 to 600 meters depending on platform. 7.62 NATO is heavier. Better penetration maintains trajectory through barriers. Velocity around 2,800 feet per second. Effective range 800 meters plus. She pauses. Different wound patterns, different treatment protocols. 5.56 tends to fragment multiple wound channels. 7.62 tends to through and through cleaner, but deeper. Morrison blinks. That's more technical than I expected. I'm a medic. I treat what bullets do to people. Helps to understand what kind of bullet. She gestures toward the mounted weapon. That's a 240 Bravo, 7.62 belt fed. If someone takes rounds from that, I need to know I'm dealing with penetrating and trauma, possible exit wounds, higher likelihood of vascular damage than small arms fire. You've treated gunshot wounds before. Syria 2021. Horn of Africa 2022 and 2023. Seen what most rounds do to human tissue. Studied it, practiced it, memorized it. She meets his eyes. I might not shoot Morrison, but I know ballistics. He nods slowly. Something in his expression shifts. Not quite respect yet, but recognition. Acknowledgement that maybe she's not just another medic checking boxes. Good to know, Cross. Really. He goes back to his checks. Maya continues toward Vehicle 4, but she feels his eyes on her back, watching, reassessing. 20 minutes before convoy departure, Maya does a final walkthrough of her medical supplies in Vehicle 4. Walsh is there nervously checking and rechecking his own aid bag. The kid is 22, blonde pale skin that burns instead of tans. This is his first real convoy. His hands keep moving, betraying anxiety he's trying to hide. He's holding his personal weapon wrong. Finger on the trigger guard stance, too wide, stock positioned, where recoil would drive it straight into his collarbone instead of his shoulder pocket. Basic mistakes. The kind that get trained out in week 2 of boot camp, but creep back in when stress hits. Maya watches for 5 seconds. Then before she can stop herself, her hands move. She steps beside him. Doesn't ask permission. Just reaches out and adjusts his grip. Moves his finger to proper position along the receiver. Shifts the stock a 1/4 inch. Adjusts his stance with a light touch on his elbow. Like this, she says quietly. Stock in the pocket. Finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire. Stance narrower weight forward. When you shoot, the recoil goes into muscle, not bone. Walsh looks at her surprised. Did they teach this in corpsman school? Maya realizes what she just did. How automatic it was. How it looked. Basic marksmanship, she says carefully. Everyone learns it. Just stick. But Walsh is still looking at her with new eyes. Doc, you qualified expert marksman in basic, long time ago. That's rifle qual, not just familiarization. He trails off thinking. You actually shoot. Everyone shoots in basic, Walsh. It's required. She goes back to her medical supplies. Changes the subject before he can probe deeper. You ready for today? First convoy can be intense. I guess, mostly nervous. He adjusts his gear the way she showed him. The stance looks better already, more stable. What if something happens and I freeze? Then I'll be there, we're a team. Neither of us works alone. She finishes organizing the medical kit. But Walsh, you won't freeze. Your training is solid, trust it. Briggs walks past the vehicle, sees the 2 medics, smirks. Hey Walsh, make sure you stay close to Doc Cross. Wouldn't want our primary medical getting separated from her backup. The emphasis on primary and backup is clear. Briggs still thinks Maya is the weak link, the one being babysat. Walsh opens his mouth to respond, but Maya catches his eye. Shakes her head slightly. Don't engage. Not worth it. Briggs continues toward his vehicle, chuckling to himself. Morrison, watching from 20 feet away, catches the whole exchange. He looks at Maya with something new in his eyes. Something thoughtful. 10 minutes before departure, Maya does a final walk around the convoy. Visual check. making sure everyone's secured, everyone's ready. Professional habit from 5 years of being responsible for keeping people alive. She finds Private David Sullivan by Vehicle 2 doing last-minute checks on the ammunition crates. 22 years old, dark hair, nervous energy. This is his first deployment with a SEAL team rotating in from regular Marine infantry. He's trying hard to fit in, trying hard not to look like the new guy. Morning, Sullivan, Maya says. How are you feeling about today? Good, ma'am. Excited, actually. He grins, genuine enthusiasm. The kind that only exists before you've seen what combat actually looks like. First real convoy with the teams. Feels like I'm finally doing something that matters, you know? It matters. All of it matters. Routine convoys, training, all of it. She watches him secure a crate. You have family back home. His face transforms. Lights up in a way that only happens when someone talks about the person they love most. He pulls out his phone, shows her a photo. Young woman, 18, blonde ponytail, college sweatshirt with San Diego State across the front. Big smile, whole life ahead of her. My sister Emma, freshman, just started this year. He stares at the photo like it's a window into another world. She's studying marine biology, wants to save the oceans. He laughs self-conscious. I know it sounds dumb, but she's really smart, Doc. Like really smart. Scholarship and everything. Doesn't sound dumb at all. Sounds like you're proud of her. I am. She's the best thing in our family. Our parents, He trails off, shakes his head. Doesn't matter. Emma got out. She's doing something good with her life. Not like me, just shooting things for a living. Maya hears something in his voice. Something underneath. You're not just anything, Sullivan. You're protecting people. That's honorable work. Maybe. He pockets the phone. Emma doesn't see it that way. She's real anti-military. We don't really talk about what I do, but she's counting on me to be at her graduation in 3 months. I promised her I'd be there. First person in our family to graduate college, and I'm going to watch her walk across that stage. Maya feels something tighten in her chest. The specificity of the promise. The timeline. The hope. 3 months feels very far away when you're about to drive through desert terrain with limited cover and intelligence that says low threat, but never says no threat. You'll be there, she says, tries to sound certain. Keep your head down, stay alert, and you'll be there. Yes, ma'am. He finishes securing the crate, looks at her with sudden earnestness. Hey, Doc, thanks for being on this convoy. Makes me feel better knowing we've got someone like you watching out for us. The guys say you've saved a lot of lives, that you're really good at your job. Maya nods. Doesn't tell him that being really good at keeping people alive sometimes isn't enough. Doesn't tell him that 3 months is a promise the desert doesn't care about. Doesn't tell him she sees her younger self in his sister's photo, that same hope, that same belief that the world makes sense and people come home. Just doing my job, Sullivan. Same as you. He grins. Well, let's go do our jobs then. He walks toward his position. Maya watches him go, memorizes his face, his enthusiasm, his sister's name. Emma, freshman, marine biology, graduation in 3 months. She files it away in the place where she keeps all the things that might matter later. 5 minutes before departure, Chief Ryan Hayes finds Maya by Vehicle 4, 48 years old. Weathered face that's seen 28 years of looking at the world through a scope. Eyes that miss nothing. He approaches quietly the way snipers do. Doesn't announce himself until he's right beside her. Cross, got a minute? Yes, Chief? He glances around, makes sure they're alone. Vehicle 4 is positioned between 2 larger trucks, creating a small bubble of privacy. The rest of the team is loading final equipment, doing last radio checks, creating enough background noise that quiet conversation won't carry. Hayes pulls something from his pocket. Folded paper. Small, worn at the edges like it's been carried for a while. He presses it into her palm. His hand lingers for just a moment, making sure she understands this matters. Something's off about this mission, he says quietly, voice low enough that only she can hear. Intel says clear, but Intel's been wrong before. I've been doing this long enough to trust my gut more than I trust intelligence assessments. Maya closes her hand around the note. What are you saying, Chief? I'm saying if the impossible happens, if everything goes sideways. He meets her eyes, holds them. You open that, not before. Only if things go wrong enough that you need to make a choice you've been avoiding. What kind of choice? The kind your father made, the kind I've made, the kind that costs something but saves more. He glances toward the Vehicle 2, toward where the Barrett sits secured and locked. I knew your father, Jake Cross, Delta Force. We ran in the same circles in Afghanistan. Never met him personally, but I knew men who served with him. They said he could shoot the eyes off a gnat at 1,000 meters. Pause. They also said his daughter was even better, but he kept her away from the life, kept her safe. Maya's chest tightens. How do you know? Your service record, expert marksman qual with scores that don't make sense unless someone's been practicing well beyond basic training. The way you move, the way you think tactically even when you're treating patients. The way your eyes track terrain and automatically identify sniper positions. He smiles slightly. I notice things, Cross. It's my job to notice things. Chief, I'm a medic. That's my job. That's all I do. I know what your job is. I also know what you're capable of being if the moment demands it. He nods toward the folded paper in her hand. That note has a locker number and a code, 714, your father's birthday. If things go bad enough that you need what's in that locker, you'll know. And if that moment comes, he puts a hand on her shoulder, brief, firm. Don't hesitate. Hesitation kills more people than bullets do. What's in the locker? Authorization, access, choice. He steps back. Your father gave me something before his last deployment. Sealed envelope. Said if anything happened to him and his daughter ended up in the teams I was supposed to give her, this when she was ready. How do you know I'm ready? Because you've been ready for years, Cross. You just needed permission to admit it. He turns to go, then stops. Looks back. And Cross, if today stays routine, if nothing happens, you burn that note. Forget I gave it to you. Go back to being just a medic. But if today asks more from you than your job description allows, his voice drops even lower. Your father taught you how to answer that question. Trust what he taught you. He walks away. Leaves Maya standing by Vehicle 4 with a folded note in her hand and a knot in her stomach that has nothing to do with mission nerves and everything to do with the feeling that the universe is about to test a promise she made 10 years ago. She unfolds the note. 7 words in Hayes' handwriting. Locker 247, code 0714, if you need it. Below that, one more line. Your father knew. He prepared you. Trust that. Maya refolds the note, slips it into her pocket. Tries to ignore the cold certainty settling into her bones, the feeling that routine missions don't stay routine when the world decides to ask impossible questions. The convoy rolls out at exactly 0800 hours. 6 vehicles, 23 personnel, temperature already climbing toward 95. Maya sits in Vehicle 4 with Walsh beside her, watching the desert scroll past through bullet-resistant windows. 30 minutes in, they stop for a scheduled radio check and quick stretch break. Stone's orders, every 90 minutes, 5-minute stop. Keep people alert. Keep circulation moving. Basic convoy discipline. Maya steps out of the vehicle, immediately feels the heat hit her like a physical force. 102 degrees already. Dry heat that pulls moisture from your lungs with every breath. She does a visual scan of the team. Professional habit, looking for anything off, anyone struggling. Briggs is standing by Vehicle 3, swaying slightly. Face flushed dark red instead of his usual sunburned pink. He's holding a water bottle but not drinking from it, just staring at it like he's forgotten what it's for. Maya walks over. Briggs, when's the last time you drank water? I'm fine, Doc. His voice is off, slightly slurred. Just hot. You're not fine, look at me. She steps closer, checks his pupils. Dilated, skin flushed but dry, no sweat. Classic signs. When did you last hydrate? This morning, had coffee. Coffee doesn't count. Caffeine's a diuretic. You're stage 2 heat exhaustion. She pulls him toward the shade of the vehicle. Sit now. Doc, I said Sit down, Briggs, or I'm pulling you from the convoy. Her voice goes flat. Command voice. The tone that says this isn't negotiable. That's not a request. He sits, still defiant but complying. Maya pulls her medical kit, checks his orthostatic vitals. Blood pressure drops when he stands. Heart rate elevates. Textbook heat injury. Another 30 minutes and he'd be stage 3, heat stroke, organ damage, possibly fatal. She starts aggressive oral rehydration, moves him into full shade, monitors his vitals every 3 minutes. The rest of the team watches. Morrison. Walsh. Stone from Vehicle 1. 15 minutes later, Briggs' color is better. Pupils responding normally. He's drinking on his own now, awareness returning. How'd you know, he asks. Genuine question. No more defiance. I just felt a little dizzy. Pupils dilated, skin dry and flushed. Slight ataxia in your stance. You were heading toward heat stroke, which means seizures, organ failure, death. Probably 60 to 90 minutes away from serious trouble. She caps her water bottle. You need to hydrate more aggressively. Desert heat isn't like coastal California. Your body can't keep up if you're not preloading fluids. Morrison walks over. Doc, that was good work. Really good. Most people wouldn't have caught that until he collapsed. Most people aren't trained to watch for heat casualties. I am. She stands. Briggs needs to stay in shade another 20 minutes, then we can resume. He'll be fine. Stone approaches, nods to her. Good catch, Cross. You just saved us from having to medevac someone on a routine convoy. That would have been embarrassing. He looks at Briggs. You listen to your medic. She knows what she's doing. After they resume the convoy, Morrison catches Maya's eye through the window between vehicles. Gives her a nod. Respect. Real respect this time. Briggs keys the radio. Hey, Doc Cross. Thanks for catching that. And sorry about the briefing. The can't handle it alone comment. That was out of line. Apology accepted, Briggs. Just stay hydrated. Walsh, sitting beside Maya, grins. That was impressive, Doc. How'd you know so fast? Training, experience, paying attention. She doesn't elaborate. Doesn't need to. The team saw what they needed to see. 45 minutes later, they stop again. Second scheduled break. Maya steps out, does another visual check. Professional habit. Morrison is rolling his left shoulder. Subtle motion. Most people wouldn't notice. But Maya does. She watches for 30 seconds. He's rotating it every 90 seconds. Testing range of motion. Compensating. She walks over. Morrison, your shoulder. It's fine, just slept wrong. Let me check it. Doc, really, I'm Morrison, she meets his eyes. You're Hayes' spotter. If your shoulder's compromised, you can't hold position. Can't stabilize. Can't do your job. Let me check it. He hesitates, then nods. Professional enough to recognize when a medic's being thorough, not paranoid. Maya has him remove his tack vest, performs range of motion tests, active, passive, resisted. Morrison winces at 40 degrees abduction. Sharp intake of breath at 90 degrees external rotation. That's not muscle strain, Maya says. That's referred pain from cervical spine. Probably C5 to C6 nerve impingement. You sleep on your left side. Yeah, how'd you compression injury from sleeping position? Your neck slightly rotated, compressing the nerve root that innervates your shoulder. She pulls out her kit. I can treat it. Manual manipulation, then kinesiology tape to maintain alignment. 15 minutes. Morrison looks skeptical. Doc, I've had this before. Takes days to resolve. Not if you treat it correctly. She positions him sitting head neutral. Hold still. She performs the manipulation. Precise pressure points. Measured rotation. The kind of technique that comes from advanced trauma training and hundreds of practice hours. 30 seconds of work. Morrison gasps as something shifts, releases. Holy damn, he rotates his shoulder. Full range, no pain, stares at her. How did you do that? C5 to C6 nerve decompression. Basic technique. Learned it in advanced tactical medicine. She applies kinesiology tape to maintain the alignment. You'll have full function now. Pain should be gone in 5 minutes as inflammation reduces. Morrison tests it, raises his arm, full extension, no discomfort. He looks at her with something like awe. Doc, that was really impressive. Hayes walks over, sees Morrison moving freely. What happened? Cross fixed my shoulder, had nerve impingement. She decompressed it. Hayes looks at Maya. Something passes between them. Recognition, confirmation. He knew she was good, but now he's seen it. Twice in one day. Heat casualty, nerve injury, both caught early, both treated expertly. Good work, Cross, Hayes says quietly. Then even quieter so only she can hear. Your father would be proud. She nods, doesn't trust herself to speak. The team is watching now. All of them. The skepticism from the briefing room has shifted. Not gone trust takes more than 2 good catches, but changing. Opening. Stone keys of the radio. All units prepare to move. We're 40 minutes from Sultan Ridge. Let's finish this clean. Maya returns to Vehicle 4. Walsh is staring at her. Doc, how did you learn that nerve decompression thing? That's not standard corpsman training. Advanced Tactical Medicine course, 6 months in San Antonio. They teach techniques for austere environments where you can't evac immediately. She settles into her seat. You learn what you can do with minimal equipment when lives depend on it. Still, that was really cool. Through the window, she sees Morrison talking to Hayes, demonstrating his full range of motion, both of them looking back toward Vehicle 4, toward her. She touches the note in her pocket. Locker 247, code 0714. Hope she never needs to use it. They've been driving for 43 minutes when Captain Rachel Thornton's voice crackles over the radio. U of V reconnaissance, running ahead of the convoy. Her voice carries an edge Maya hasn't heard before. Actual, this is Overwatch. I'm getting weird readings on thermal. Heat signatures, but not clear. Could be wildlife, could be equipment malfunction. Stone responds. Copy Overwatch. Keep eyes on it. Roger. Continuing a sweep. Maya's hand drifts to her pocket, touches the note. 5 minutes later, Thornton's voice again. Tension creeping in. Actual UAV feed is degrading. Getting heavy interference. Are you starting? I'm losing visual. Static swallows the transmission. Overwatch, say again. Nothing, just white noise. Overwatch, this is actual. How copy? The radio gives back only emptiness. Stone keys the command net. All units, this is actual. UAV is down. Proceed with caution. Maintain visual with vehicle ahead. Acknowledge. One by one they acknowledge. But Maya hears it in their voices. The shift. Routine becoming uncertain. Boring becoming dangerous. They enter Sultan Canyon. Walls closing in on both sides. Rock face climbing toward cloudless sky. Echo chamber. Perfect ambush terrain if you know what to look for. If you've been trained to see tactical disadvantages. Maya sees it. Sees the high ground. Sees the limited maneuver space. Sees exactly where she would position shooters if she wanted to stop a convoy. Walsh notices her looking. Doc, you okay? Fine, just... She trails off. Just checking terrain. But her hand stays in her pocket, touching the note, feeling the certainty that Hayes was right, that something's off, that routine missions don't stay routine when the universe decides it's time for accounting. They're 37 miles in, 10 miles from Sultan Ridge. Almost there. Almost safe. Sullivan's voice comes over the radio. Vehicle 2 confirming visual with, the RPG hits 3 feet ahead of Vehicle 2, detonation throwing the Humvee sideways, metal screaming as it flips. Once, twice, coming to rest on its side. The Barrett case visible through the smoke, tumbling through the air, landing 80 feet up the ridge. Everything becomes noise and chaos and the particular kind of clarity that comes when the world ends and begins in the same instant. Maya watches through the window, sees Hayes' arm hanging limp from the shattered vehicle, sees Sullivan thrown clear leg torn open, sees the Barrett resting on stone like a fallen angel waiting for someone to pick it up, sees everything she's been preparing for and dreading converge into a single moment that will define the rest of her life. Gunfire erupts from 3 directions, and Maya Cross stops being just a medic. 80 feet doesn't sound like much. Walking distance, less than the length of a basketball court. But when it's vertical rock face with surface temperature 118 degrees, when enemy rounds are impacting 2 feet from your hands, when every grip threatens to tear skin and every foothold could be your last. 80 feet becomes the distance between who you were and who you'll have to become. Maya's fingers find the first handhold. Limestone rough and hot enough to brand. She pulls herself up. Right foot finds purchase. Left follows. The medical bag stays at the bottom with Walsh. The only thing she carries now is the weight of a decision she can't take back. 10 feet up, she hears Stone's voice on the radio, someone left on below. Not shouting. Worse than shouting. That deadly quiet that means consequences. Cross, you get down from there, right now. That's a direct order. She doesn't respond. Can't. Needs every breath for the climb. 15 feet. The first rounds start coming. Sniper on the south outcrop has acquired her. She hears the crack of the rifle, the impact on stone 6 inches to her left. Doesn't flinch. Can't afford to. Flinching means falling, and falling means dying, and too many people are counting on her not to die. 20 feet. Her father's voice in her memory, clear as the Arizona wind. When you're scared, count. Count your breaths. Count your heartbeats. Count anything. The human brain can't be terrified and mathematical at the same time. She counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another round impacts. Closer this time. 3 inches from her right hand. 5, 6, 7, 8, 30 feet. Halfway. Her palms are bleeding now, torn open by hot stone and desperation. The tactical gloves she wore this morning are somewhere down below, lost to adrenaline and the urgency of saving Hayes. Doesn't matter. Pain is information, and right now the information says she's still alive. 35 feet. Movement on the East Canyon rim. Machine gunner traversing, trying to find her angle. She presses flat against the rock, makes herself small, makes herself stone. The burst walks up the cliff face 10 feet to her right, close enough to feel the pressure wave. Far enough to keep climbing. Cross, Morrison's voice now, not Stone's. Urgent but controlled. North Ridge sniper has you. He's ranging. Move, she moves. Scrambles up 5 feet in 3 seconds. Pure momentum and muscle memory. The round hits where her head was. Exactly where her head was. Morrison just saved her life by reading the enemy shooter before he fired. 40 feet. The sweat running down her back has nothing to do with the heat and everything to do with the understanding that she's doing something impossible. That 23 people are watching her climb, and half of them think she's going to die, and the other half thinks she's going to get them killed, and both halves might be right. 45 feet. A grenade lands 12 feet below her. She sees it tumbling, knows what's coming, flattens against the rock face with every muscle locked. The blast washes over her. Shrapnel cuts her left calf, 4 inches of pain and blood, but nothing that stops her from moving. She doesn't look at it. Looking means thinking, and thinking means stopping, and stopping means dying. She wraps a field dressing one-handed while pressed against stone hot enough to cook eggs, pulls it tight with her teeth. Good enough. Has to be good enough. 50 feet. Her lungs are burning, not from exertion, but from breathing air that feels like it's coming straight from a furnace. Every breath tastes like smoke and cordite, and the particular flavor of fear that only combat brings. 60 feet. She can see the Barrett case now, 20 feet above her, black polymer and metal latches. The most beautiful thing she's ever seen and the most terrible, because reaching it means becoming something she promised she'd never be. Breaking a promise she made to her mother while standing over her father's grave, and promises made at graves are supposed to be sacred. But Sullivan is bleeding out below. Hayes is unconscious. 3 Marines are pinned behind Vehicle 5 with no cover and no options. And sometimes sacred promises have to break so that living, breathing people can keep existing. 65 feet. Machine gun fire from the East Canyon, bullets impacting 2 feet to her right, the pattern walking toward her. She counts the rhythm, counts the bursts, 7 round groups, 3-second pauses for barrel management. She times it, waits for the pause, moves during the 3 seconds, climbs 5 feet while the gunner adjusts, 70 feet. Her fingers are shaking now. Not fear, exhaustion. The body reaching its limits and finding that limits are suggestions, not boundaries, when the alternative is unacceptable. 75 feet, almost there. So close she can see the dust on the case. Can imagine her hands opening it. Can feel the ghost of the Barrett's weight before she's even touched it. The North Ridge sniper fires again. The round impacts 1 foot from her head. Stone chips exploding into her face, cutting her cheek, missing her eye by inches, that feel like providence or luck or whatever word you use for not dying when you should have. 80 feet. She reaches the case, grabs it with hands that are bleeding and shaking and covered in dust and sweat, pulls it toward her, opens the latches with fingers that know this motion, even though she's never opened this specific case before. Because muscle memory doesn't care about specifics. It cares about patterns. And this pattern is carved into her bones. The Barrett M8-2A1 lies there exactly as her father's had looked in that photograph from Kandahar. 50 caliber, 30 pounds, 8 rounds in the magazine, scope mounted and ready. Everything she needs and everything she's feared for 10 years. The radio crackles. Stone's voice. And it's changed. Not anger now, not disbelief, something else. Something like resignation or acceptance, or the sound a man makes when he realizes the rules just rewrote themselves. Cross, can you shoot it? She checks the rifle. Function test, magazine seated, bolt smooth, cope tight on its mount. Her hands know what to do before her mind catches up. 10 years of secret practice, 10 years of maintaining skills she prayed she'd never use. 10 years of preparation for a moment she swore would never come. Yes, sir. Silence. 5 seconds that stretch forever. 5 seconds where every man in the convoy is calculating odds and outcomes. 5 seconds where Stone is making a decision that could end both their careers. Then his voice, carrying the weight of command and consequence and everything that comes after. Then you have my authorization, Petty Officer Cross. Take your shots. I'll take the consequences. Below in Vehicle 3, Garrett Briggs keys his radio, voice shocked. Sir, you're authorizing. Stone cuts him off, cold and final. She's earned it. Cross, make them count. Maya settles behind the Barrett, lets her breathing slow, lets the world narrow to what her father taught her. 4 counts in, 7 counts hold, 8 counts out. Her heart rate is 152. Too high, way too high. She breathes, feels her pulse drop. 130, 110, 90. Through the scope, she finds her first target, North Ridge, 823 meters. RPG gunner reloading. The man who almost killed Stone 2 minutes ago. The man who's about to try again. She calculates. Wind speed 5 miles per hour left to right. Temperature 105 degrees. Elevation 14 degrees uphill. Bullet drop at this distance, 42 inches. Wind drift 8 inches. She adjusts the scope. Clicks the turrets. The mechanical sound precise and final. The RPG gunner raises his weapon. Aims at Vehicle 6. Stone's position. Maya settles the crosshairs. Center mass. Lets her breathing smooth out. Feels her heartbeat in her chest, her throat, her fingertips. Counts the space between pulses. Finds the moment. That perfect instant between heartbeats where the world goes still. Squeezes the trigger. The Barrett roars. Recoil slams into her shoulder. The scope comes up, loses the target for half a second. She brings it back down. 823 meters downrange, the RPG gunner flinches, steps sideways, raises his weapon again. She missed. 14 inches left of center. Close enough to make him move. Far enough to mean he's alive. Still loading, still a threat. Below, Briggs's voice on the radio, disbelief and contempt. She fucking missed. Maya doesn't respond. Doesn't have time for doubt or defense or anything except the next round, the correction. The adjustment that separates competence from excellence, life from death. She moves the scope, 0.8 of a mil right, compensating for when she misread by 1 mile per hour. 1 mile per hour at 800 meters equals 14 inches of drift. Mathematics and consequence. Calculation and cost. The RPG gunner has the weapon on his shoulder now. Aiming, 2 seconds from firing, Maya breathes out, lets her heart rate drop another 4 beats. 72, right where it needs to be. Right where her father taught her it should be when everything depends on the next 3 seconds. She finds that space again. Between heartbeats, between breaths, between who she was and who she's becoming. Squeezes. The Barrett speaks. Final and absolute. 823 meters, downrange, the target goes down. The RPG fires while detonating against the canyon wall 40 feet from anything living. Shrapnel and rock dust harmless as thunder without lightning. The radio is silent for 3 seconds. Then it erupts. Contact down, North Ridge, contact down. Morrison's voice awed and disbelieving. It's Cross. It's fucking Cross. Maya is already moving, already finding the next target through the scope. East Canyon, 615 meters. Machine gun nest. 2 shooters. They've been suppressing the Marines behind Vehicle 5, keeping them pinned, keeping them exposed. Not anymore. The machine gunner's head is visible above the rock barricade, 18 inches of target, easier shot than the first. No significant wind at this distance. Slight downward angle. She doesn't think about the man. Doesn't think about whether he has family or dreams or anything that would make him human. Her father taught her that too. In the moment of the shot, the target is geometry, distance and windage, and the space between what is and what needs to be. The humanity comes after. The weight, the cost. But in the moment you shoot clean or you don't shoot at all. She fires, the machine gun goes silent. The Marines move. Reposition, find cover, start returning effective fire. The kill box is opening. The convoy has space to breathe, but they're not out yet, not even close. Maya keeps the scope moving, searching for targets, finding them. East Canyon's second fighter moving to the gun. She fires, he goes down, south outcrop spotter, with binoculars coordinating the attack. She adjusts for distance, 940 meters. Fires. The spotter drops the binoculars, falls back behind cover. 3 shots. 3 hits. The impossible made routine through a decade of secret practice and a father's wisdom that transcended death. Below, the team is moving, reorganizing. Stone's voice on the radio, professional and controlled, but she can hear the shift underneath. The recalculation. All units maintain suppressive fire. Cross has north and east covered. Focus on south outcrop. Briggs keys his radio. Voice changed. Stone, how long has she? Not now, Briggs. Fight first, questions later. Maya takes a breath. 4 rounds left in the magazine. She does the math. 3 known enemy positions still active. Unknown number of fighters. Unknown time until reinforcements arrive, or the enemy realizes they're losing and breaks contact. Unknown time until this becomes sustainable or spirals into catastrophe. Her radio crackles. Stone's voice. Cross, can you hold that position? Yes, sir, I've got eyes on... Oh. Walsh's voice cuts in, panicked. Young. Terrified. Cross, Chief Hayes crashed no pulse. He's not breathing. Time freezes. She's 80 feet up a rock face. Enemy fire still incoming from at least 4 positions. 5 rounds left in the Barrett. The convoy still pinned, still dying by degrees if she doesn't keep shooting. But Chief Hayes, the man who believed in her when no one else did, who kept her secret, who trusted her with the note that got her here, is dying down there. Heart stopped. Life measured in seconds. Through the scope, she sees the south outcrop. 1,240 meters. The command element, spotter with radio coordinating enemy fire. High-value target. Take him out and the enemy loses their eyes, their coordination, their effectiveness. One shot. Maybe 90 seconds to line it up. Compensate for extreme distance. Make it count. Or she can go down there. Perform CPR. Restart a heart. Save one life at the cost of however many die if she abandons the rifle. Her father's voice, clear as mountain air. Heal when you can fight when you must, but always know which one the moment requires. She knows. God help her, she knows. Maya slings the Barrett across her back, 30 pounds of steel and responsibility. She doesn't care, doesn't think, just moves. Starts down the ridge in a controlled slide using gravity and recklessness, and every bit of training her father gave her about moving fast under fire. 18 seconds. That's how long it takes to cover 80 feet of vertical rock face when falling with purpose. 18 seconds of bullets, singing past of stone chips exploding around her of gravity, trying to turn speed into catastrophe. She hits level ground moving, sprints to vehicle 2. 12 seconds, her lungs burning. Her wounded legs screaming, her mind absolutely clear. Hayes lies beside the Humvee where Walsh dragged him. Face gray, lips blue, chest not moving. Walsh kneels beside him, hands hovering, frozen by the enormity of death looking back. Doc, I don't know, he just stopped. I don't... Move. Maya drops the Barrett, drops to her knees, positions her hands over Hayes' chest, starts compressions, 30 of them, hard enough to crack ribs if necessary. Because broken ribs beat being dead every single time. 2 breaths, mouth to mouth, pushing air into lungs that forgot how to work. 30 more compressions. Above her rounds are still impacting. The firefight continues, but here in this small bubble of focus, there's only Hayes and the rhythm and the desperate mathematics of keeping blood flowing to a brain that's dying. Morrison appears, left arm hanging useless dislocated shoulder, right hand holding his sidearm, providing cover. He's gone, Cross. You did what you could. He's not gone. Maya doesn't stop, doesn't slow. Not today, not on my watch. 2 more breaths, 30 more compressions. Briggs runs over slides in beside Morrison, takes up firing position. How long has he been down? 90 seconds, Walsh says, voice shaking. That's too long. Doc, you need to. Shut up, Briggs, Maya's voice flat and absolute. He's not gone until I say he's gone. 15 compressions and Hayes gasps. His chest hitches, eyes flutter open, pulse visible in his neck weak, but present the most beautiful thing she's ever seen. That's it, Chief. Stay with me. Stay with me. Walsh moves in with oxygen, with IV kit, with hands that remember how to work now that the crisis point has passed. I've got him. I've got him now. Maya stands. Her hands are shaking. Adrenaline and exertion and the crash that comes from pulling someone back from wherever we go when the heart stops. You sure? She asks. I'm sure. Go. She picks up the Barrett, 85 seconds away from the rifle. 85 seconds the enemy used to reposition, to adapt, to remember they still held advantages. Above her, the south outcrop spotter is still coordinating, still directing fire, still the nervous system of an enemy force that needs killing. The climb back takes 70 seconds. Shorter this time because fear has been replaced by certainty. She knows what she is now, knows what the moment requires. No more hesitation. At the top, she settles behind the Barrett, finds the battlefield transformed. North Ridge clear, East Canyon clear. But South Outcrop, 1,240 meters. The spotter is still there, still directing fire, still keeping the convoy from breaking contact. Maya checks her breathing. Heart rate 130. Too high, but she doesn't have time to bring it lower. The convoy is moving, trying to break contact. And if that spotter keeps talking, keeps coordinating, they'll never make it out. 1,240 meters, longest shot of her life, longer than anything she attempted in training. Wind has shifted right to left now, 7 miles per hour. Heat mirage rising off the rocks, making the target shimmer and dance. Her father never taught her to make the shot. No one did. This is the territory beyond training where instinct and desperation meet. Where sometimes, if you're lucky, if you're good enough, if the universe decides you've earned it, they create something that looks like skill. She adjusts the scope, elevation, windage, watches the target through the glass. He's moving, pacing, radio to his ear, directing men she can't see to kill men she knows. Her hands are shaking, exhaustion from the climb, from the CPR, from everything, her father's voice again. When you shake, let the earth be your bones. She rests the barrel on the rock, presses her cheek to the stock hard enough to feel the weapon become part of her skeleton. Breathes until the shake minimizes, smooths out, becomes small enough to work with. Finds the space between heartbeats. Squeezes. The Barrett roars. The recoil slams into her shoulder. Familiar now, almost comforting. Downrange through heat shimmer and distance, she watches. 1,240 meters is far enough that the bullet takes time to arrive. 3 seconds of flight, 3 seconds to wonder if the calculations were right, if the wind reading was accurate, if God favors the desperate. The spotter goes down. Through the scope, she sees him drop the radio, sees his hand go to his chest, sees him fall behind rocks where she can't confirm the kill. But she knows in the way her father knew. The shot was good. The enemy radio chatter audible through Stone's command vehicle goes chaotic, then quiet, then silent. Without their coordinator, without their eyes, the enemy breaks contact, melts back into the desert the way insurgents do when the fight turns against them. Maya keeps the scope moving, searching for targets, finding none. The battlefield is emptying, enemy combatants recognizing defeat and choosing survival. She has 5 rounds left, doesn't fire them. Her father taught her that too. Every bullet you don't fire is one you don't have to justify. The radio crackles, Stone's voice. Calm now. The kind of calm that comes after crisis when the shooting stops and the accounting begins. Cross status. 5 rounds remaining, sir. No targets visible. I think they broke contact. Casualties. She looks down at the convoy. At Hayes alive and breathing with Walsh beside him. At Morrison holding his shoulder. At Briggs providing security. At the poncho-wrapped shape beside Vehicle 2. Private David Sullivan, 22 years old, 3 months from his sister's graduation. Chief Hayes stable, multiple wounded, all receiving treatment. She pauses, has to force the next words out. 1K IA confirmed. Silence on the radio, then Stone's voice quieter. Can you get down from there? Yes, sir. Then do it. We're moving in 5 minutes. Pause. And Cross will talk when we're clear. Not praise, not condemnation, just acknowledgement that something happened. Something changed, and there would be consequences one way or another. Maya secures the Barrett, slings it across her back, starts down. The descent takes 3 minutes. Slower now, careful. The adrenaline is fading, leaving behind the shakes and the exhaustion and the realization of what she's done. 7 shots fired, 6 hits, 1 miss that didn't matter because the second shot was true. 11 enemy combatants killed or suppressed, 17 friendly personnel still breathing, and 1 promise broken so completely she'll never be able to pretend it existed. At the bottom, Morrison is waiting, shoulder reset now, arm in a field sling. He looks at her, at the Barrett, and something in his face has changed. The skepticism gone, replaced by something harder to name. That was some shooting, he says. Maya walks past him toward Vehicle 4, where her medical supplies wait. Where the work she promised to do, the healing she promised to prioritize still needs doing. Just doing my job, she says. That wasn't in your job description. She stops, turns, meets his eyes. Today it was. The convoy reforms in silence. Not the comfortable silence of routine, but the heavy quiet that comes after violence when men are still processing what they saw and trying to reconcile it with what they thought they knew. Maya moves among the wounded. Professional, efficient, her hands steady despite everything. Briggs needs his laceration cleaned and sutured. Morrison's shoulder requires proper immobilization. 3 Marines have various degrees of shrapnel wounds, none critical, all treatable. She works through them methodically the same way she's worked through hundreds of training scenarios and 5 years of real-world casualties. But her eyes keep drifting to Vehicle 2, to the shape wrapped in a poncho, to what used to be Private David Sullivan. She finishes with the last Marine, packs her medical supplies, walks to Vehicle 2 alone. Sullivan lies where they moved him, covered now, dignified in death, if not peaceful. Maya kneels beside him, doesn't pull back the poncho, doesn't need to. She knows what bullets do to human bodies. knows that the sister in San Diego will get a folded flag and careful words and a brother-shaped hole in her life that nothing will ever fill. Her jaw tightens. That's all. No tears, no dramatic grief. Just a tightness in her jaw and a weight settling into her chest that she knows from experience will never fully leave. "I'm sorry, Sullivan," she says quietly. "I'm sorry I couldn't get to the rifle faster." Behind her footsteps on gravel, she doesn't turn. "Not your fault, Doc." Briggs' voice, different now, softer. "You saved the rest of us. That's more than most could have done." Doesn't bring him back. No, it doesn't. He's quiet for a moment. "I was wrong about you. About what you could do. I'm sorry." Maya stands, faces him, sees genuine remorse in his eyes. "You weren't wrong to doubt. You were wrong not to let me prove myself." He holds out his hand. "If I ever go down again, I want you there. For both reasons." She shakes it, feels the shift, the boundary crossed. Morrison approaches next. "Command wants us moving. Hayes is stable enough for transport. We're taking Sullivan home." Maya nods. Helps them load Sullivan into Vehicle 6 with the care and dignity the dead deserve. Watches as Stone organizes the convoy into its new configuration. Fewer vehicles now. Vehicle 2 is unsalvageable, still smoking frame twisted beyond repair. Stone catches her eye, gestures toward Vehicle 4. She walks over. He climbs in beside her, closes the door. They sit in silence for 30 seconds. Finally, he speaks. "Hell of a thing, Cross." "Yes, sir." "You disobeyed a direct order." "Yes, sir." "You saved this entire convoy from being wiped out." Maya looks at him, sees exhaustion in his face, the kind that comes from making impossible choices and living with the outcomes. "I'm sorry for disobeying, sir, but I'm not sorry for taking the shot." Stone nods slowly, studies her with eyes that have seen 3 decades of combat and still found ways to be surprised. "There will be a debrief, investigation. We'll sort this out when we reach Sultan Ridge." "I understand, sir." "Well, tonight after we secure the base, meet me at the armory. There's something I need to give you." He leaves before she can ask what. The convoy limps towards Sultan Ridge. Slower now, weapons out, eyes scanning. The ambush site recedes in the mirrors, smoke still rising from Vehicle 2. Brass casings scattered across rock. Blood in the sand. Evidence of the day nothing was routine. They reach Sultan Ridge Forward Operating Post 40 minutes later. Prefabricated buildings and HESCO barriers and the kind of safety that only exists relative to what you just survived. The convoy pulls through the gate, stops, engines cutting off one by one until the only sound is wind and the settling tick of cooling metal. Maya sits in Vehicle 4 and stares at her hands. They're not shaking anymore, not doing anything, just resting on her knees, empty, waiting for orders that will tell her what comes next. Walsh touches her shoulder. "You okay?" "Yeah." "That was incredible, what you did. I've never seen Walsh," her voice quiet but firm. "I need you to not talk about it right now, okay?" He nods. Doesn't understand but respects the request. Leaves her alone in the Humvee with the Barrett lying across the bench seat and the weight of 7 shots settling into her bones the way recoil settles into bruises. The afternoon dissolves into procedure. Medical checks, statements, casualty reports. Private Sullivan prepared for transport home. Maya treats wounds checks, vitals, changes bandages, does the work she promised to do. But the team looks at her differently now, the way you look at someone who just revealed they're not quite who you thought they were. At 1900 hours, Stone finds her. Armory. Now. They walk in silence. The base is quiet, the kind of quiet that follows violence. The armory is empty except for them. Stone unlocks the weapons cage, lifts the Barrett, holds it formally both hands like he's presenting colors. "This rifle doesn't belong to me anymore, Cross. Doesn't belong to Hayes. It belongs to whoever has the wisdom to know when healing requires force." He presses the Barrett into her hands. The weight settles, familiar and terrible and right. "You're being redesignated. Combat medic / designated marksman. First person in naval special warfare history to hold both billets simultaneously." He places something else in her hand. A challenge coin. Oak tree on one side, on the other, "He'll first fight, last know the difference." "Your father's coin," Stone says. "Hayes has been holding it for you. Said Jake gave it to him before his last deployment. Said to give it to you when you were ready." Maya turns the coin over, feels the weight of legacy. "What if I fail?" "Then you'll fail carrying a rifle that saved 17 men today. That's all any of us can do, Cross. Try, and live with the outcome." He leaves her alone in the armory with the Barrett, and the coin in the sunset bleeding through the window, painting everything red. 2 days pass like a fever dream. Maya moves through the hours in a fog of procedure and protocol. Medical checks, witness statements, convoy debriefs, the machinery of military bureaucracy grinding chaos into neat reports and numbered forms. She sleeps in 4-hour blocks, eats when ordered, answers questions with measured responses. But at night, alone in temporary quarters, she lies awake and counts the things she can't change. 7 shots, 6 hits, 1 miss that corrected, 17 people alive, 1 person dead, the mathematics of consequence. On the morning of the 3rd day, they call her to a converted storage room that smells like stale air and the anxiety of judgment. Naval Inspector General, 2 captains from Special Warfare Command, a lieutenant commander from JAG who looks young enough to be carded at bars and speaks with the precision that comes from law school and fear of mistakes. They set up recording equipment, metal desk, folding chairs, the architecture of accountability. Stone goes first. 14 years of service reduced to questions about a single decision in a single moment on a single day. Commander Stone, why did you authorize Petty Officer Cross to employ the Barrett? Stone's answer is 3 minutes of tactical assessment. Enemy positions, casualties mounting, no alternative sniper support. The convoy 12 minutes from total destruction. Mathematics that came down to 17 lives against 1 regulation. Were you aware Petty Officer Cross had no formal sniper qualification? I was aware she was the daughter of Master Sergeant Jake Cross, Delta Force. I was aware Chief Hayes had observed her capabilities. I was aware she was the only person who could reach that rifle and use it effectively. That's not a qualification, Commander. That's a gamble. Stone leans forward. No, sir. A gamble is hoping the enemy gets bored and leaves. What I did was make a tactical decision based on available assets and immediate threat. Cross was an asset. I used her. The questions continue, circling, probing for doubt or error or anything that would make the decision look like panic instead of command. They find nothing because there's nothing to find. Stone made the call, owns it completely, offers no excuses and no regrets. When they finish, the senior captain closes his folder. Commander, you understand that by authorizing an unqualified medic to employ a crew-served weapon, you violated standing protocols. I understand that, sir. You also understand the outcome, however favorable, doesn't necessarily justify the decision. I understand that too, sir. Then help me understand why you're not showing any concern about potential consequences to your career. Stone meets the captain's eyes, holds them. Because 17 men went home to their families. Because Sullivan was the only body bag we filled. Because in 30 years of making decisions, this is the first one I'd make exactly the same way if I had to do it again. The room goes quiet. The kind of quiet that comes before judgment or understanding, and sometimes both. Finally, the captain nods. Stand by, Commander. We'll reconvene after interviewing Petty Officer Cross. They call her in next. She walks into that room wearing her service uniform. Shoes polished, hair regulation tight. She slept 4 hours in the past 2 days. Her leg wound throbs where shrapnel opened her calf. The bruise on her shoulder from the Barrett's recoil has turned purple and yellow, a map of consequences spreading across skin. She sits, gives her name and rank and service number, waits while they arrange papers and activate recording equipment and prepare to dissect the day her life split into before and after. Petty Officer Cross, how long have you been a qualified marksman? Since basic training, sir, expert marksman rating. That's rifle qualification, not sniper training, not crew-served weapons. Are you claiming expertise you don't possess? No, sir, I'm claiming competence my father taught me and I maintain through unofficial practice. The JAG officer leans in. Unofficial practice meaning unauthorized range time, meaning you violated base protocols to train on weapons outside your military occupational specialty. Yes, sir. And you feel no remorse for these violations. Maya thinks about that. About the nights spent practicing. About the forged permission slips and the ammunition requisitioned under creative interpretations. About every small betrayal of regulation that led to 7 shots that saved 17 lives. I feel remorse that I had to violate protocols, she says carefully, but I don't regret being prepared when the moment came. They walk her through the ambush, step by step, shot by shot, why she climbed the ridge against orders, why she left the rifle to perform CPR, why she returned, why she took shots at extreme distance without spotter support or formal clearance. At any point, did you consider that you were unqualified for the task you were attempting? No, sir. Why not? Because my father taught me to shoot before the military taught me to follow regulations. And in that moment, shooting mattered more. The JAG officer frowns. That's a dangerous philosophy, petty officer. Yes, sir. So is dying because someone who could help chose not to. Silence. The recording equipment hums. Outside, the desert wind rattles windows. The sound like static, like interference, like the world trying to interrupt judgment. The senior captain speaks. Tell me about your father. Maya hadn't expected that question, hadn't prepared an answer, but memory comes easy and true. Master Sergeant Jake Cross, Delta Force, 4 tours Afghanistan. Killed in action July 2014, Kandahar Province. She keeps her voice level, professional. Emotions filed where investigators can't use them as evidence. He taught me to shoot when I was 12. Taught me that rifles aren't about violence. They're about protecting people who can't protect themselves. And you believe that justifies taking a weapon you were explicitly forbidden to touch. I believe that when 17 people are dying and you're the only one who can stop it, justification is a luxury you don't have time for. More questions, hours of them. They probe for uncertainty, for hesitation, for any crack in her certainty that might suggest she made the wrong choice. They find nothing because there's nothing to find. At 1600 hours, they dismiss her, tell her to stand by for conclusions. She walks out into afternoon sun that feels too bright, too normal, too indifferent to whether what she did was heroism or career-ending mistake. Hayes is waiting outside, recovered now, color back in his face. The kind of alive that only means something to people who've been otherwise. How'd it go, he asks. They're deciding whether I should be court-martialed or given a medal. Could go either way with brass types. He falls into step beside her. For what it's worth, I told them the truth, that you saved my life twice. Once with CPR, once by getting back on that rifle when every instinct probably told you to stay with the wounded. What did they say? They said instinct isn't qualification. I said, qualification is just instinct. You've practiced enough that someone official signs off on it. He smiles. They didn't like that answer much. Before dawn the next morning, before the investigators reconvene, Maya goes to the armory alone. Locker 247. She'd opened it once before with Hayes's code. Found the Barrett, found the note about it being hers when she was ready. But she hadn't looked deeper, hadn't searched for anything beyond what she expected to find. Now she uses the key Hayes gave her. The lock clicks. The door swings open. Inside, behind where the Barrett rested, is a sealed envelope. Aged paper. Her name written in her father's distinctive hand. Below that a date, June 2014, 1 month before he died. Maya's hands shake as she opens it. Inside, 3 pages. Letter written in the careful script her father used when he wanted every word to land right. She reads, Maya, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And if you're reading this, you've picked up a rifle in combat. I know you promised your mother you wouldn't. I know you promised yourself you'd be different than me. But I also know you. When people you love are dying, promises become flexible. Her vision blurs. She blinks it clear, keeps reading. The Barrett I'm carrying in Kandahar right now has saved 40 men in the last 2 months. Not because I killed 40 enemies. Because the enemy knows I'm here. They think twice before attacking. They hesitate. And in that hesitation, my brothers live. That's what you need to understand, baby girl. A rifle in the right hands doesn't take life. It guards it. It creates space for healing. It makes the wolves think twice before attacking the sheep. The letter continues. 3 pages of wisdom her father wrote knowing he might not come back to deliver it in person. Knowing his daughter would face this choice someday. Preparing her for it even as he hoped she'd never need the preparation. You have the gift. Better than mine, probably. Your hands are steadier. Your heart is clearer. Your judgment is sound. Don't be afraid of the rifle. Be afraid of not using it when someone needs you to. I've watched you grow up torn between healing and fighting, between who I am and who your mother wants you to be. Here's the truth I wish someone had told me earlier. You don't have to choose. The best warriors are healers. The best healers understand when healing requires force. Well, Maya wipes her eyes, keeps reading through tears that won't stop now. Your hands can hold a needle and a trigger. Your mind can calculate dosages and windage. Your heart can choose mercy and still deliver justice. That's not contradiction. That's completion. I arranged for this rifle to be waiting at your first duty station. Locker 247, code your birthday, backwards. When you're ready, it's yours. And you'll know when you're ready because the moment will demand it. The letter ends with words that feel like a benediction and a burden both. Stay safe, stay strong, stay human. Love, Dad. P.S. There's a second item in this envelope. Open it only after you've used the Barrett in combat, only after you know what the weight feels like. Then you'll understand why I left it for you. Maya reaches into the envelope, finds the second item, a photograph. Her father in Kandahar, 2011, but not the sniper photo she'd seen before. This is different. He's kneeling beside a wounded soldier, Barrett propped against a nearby wall, both hands working to stop bleeding from the soldier's leg. Medical kit open, face tense with concentration. On the back of her father's handwriting, Mission 47 saved PFC Morrison, used rifle to create safe space for treatment, both jobs in one day. Both jobs matter. Below that, sometimes being a warrior means knowing when to put the rifle down. Sometimes being a healer means knowing when to pick it up. You'll figure out which is which. I trust you. Maya holds the photograph, looks at her father being exactly what he tried to teach her to be. Not warrior or healer, both. Integrated, complete. She folds the letter carefully, slips it into her pocket with the photograph, closes the locker, stands in the empty armory, and feels something shift in her chest. Not the breaking of promises, the completion of them. At 0900 hours, the investigators reconvene. Stone and Maya sit across from them. The recording equipment hums, papers rustle. The senior captain clears his throat. We've reviewed all testimony, examined all evidence, consulted relevant protocols and precedents. This is an unusual case. Petty Officer Cross violated standing orders. Commander Stone authorized actions outside normal weapons employment procedures. By strict interpretation of regulations, both of you should face disciplinary action. Maya feels Stone tense beside her. Neither speaks. Just wait for the judgment that will define what comes next. However, the captain continues, regulations exist to protect lives and accomplish missions. In this case, the violation of protocol directly resulted in both outcomes. 17 personnel survived an ambush that intelligence suggests would have resulted in total convoy destruction. Mission objective was achieved. No friendly fire incidents, no collateral damage. Tactical success achieved through unorthodox means. He closes the folder, looks at them both. Commander Stone, you made a tactical decision under extreme circumstances. While we don't recommend it as standard procedure, we find no grounds for disciplinary action. Your assessment was sound. Stone nods once. Professional, giving nothing away. Petty Officer Cross, the captain's gaze shifts. Your actions present a more complex situation. You deliberately maintained skills outside your designated specialty. You violated range protocols. You disobeyed a direct order. However, your medical record is exemplary. 53 lives saved through direct intervention. Your marksmanship, while unconventionally maintained, proved effective and necessary. Your judgment under fire, leaving the rifle to perform CPR on Chief Hayes before returning to sniper duties, demonstrates exactly the kind of prioritization we need in combat medical personnel. He opens a different folder. Official letterhead. Effective immediately, you are hereby redesignated as Special Amphibious Reconnaissance Corpsman with additional specialty code for designated marksman. This is the first such dual designation in naval special warfare history. Your primary duty remains medical. Your secondary duty to be employed only when tactically necessary is precision fire support. Barrett M82A1 serial number. Papa Oscar 1847 is officially assigned to you. You will complete formal sniper qualification within 6 months. You will develop training protocols for integrated medical tactical operations. The captain stands. Everyone stands with him. You saved 17 lives, Petty Officer. Now save more by teaching others how to do what you did. Dismissed. 6 months later, Maya stands before a classroom mirror, checking her uniform before the students arrive. The dark circles under her eyes have faded. The gaunt look of sustained stress has filled out. 122 pounds, now healthy weight gained back through regular meals and sleep that doesn't fragment every 2 hours. The scar on her calf is visible when she wears shorts, a 4-inch reminder of the day everything changed. The bruise on her shoulder from the Barrett took 3 months to fully fade. These things matter, these visible markers of cost and recovery, because the students need to see that the weight is real, that it leaves marks, and that you can carry it and still be whole. Behind her, the door opens. 16 students file in, 11 men, 5 women. Mix of SEALs, Force Recon Marines, Army Special Forces medics. They've heard about Sultan Ridge, heard about the medic who climbed 80 feet under fire, made 6 hits from 7 shots, and saved 17 lives with both her medical kit and her rifle. Heard the story. Now they're here to learn the truth behind it. Maya turns from the mirror, faces them. This course is called Integrated Combat Medicine. You're here to learn when to heal and when to fight. More importantly, you're here to learn how to know the difference. She pulls up a tactical map on the screen behind her. Sultan Ridge, the ambush site. 7 shots marked with red dots. I'm not going to tell you this was easy. I'm not going to pretend I didn't spend 3 nights after this engagement staring at the ceiling, wondering if I did the right thing. The weight is real. The doubt is real. Anyone who says otherwise is lying or hasn't carried it long enough. She pauses, lets that sink in, sees recognition in some faces, uncertainty in others. But here's what I learned. The rifle and the medical kit aren't opposites. They're tools, different tools for different problems. Our job is to know which problem you're facing and use the right tool. Hayes enters from the back, recovered now. Retired officially, but back as a contractor instructor. He nods to her. Morrison follows, shoulder fully healed. Briggs behind them, the man who once mocked her, now one of her strongest advocates. You'll learn ballistics and trauma medicine, windage and dosage, how to read terrain for sniper positions and casualty collection points, how to transition from shooting to healing in seconds, how to carry weight that never gets lighter but might eventually feel right. She picks up the Barrett from its case on the desk. The same rifle, the same weight, the same responsibility that transformed her from medic to something more. This rifle saved 11 people at Sultan Ridge. But you know what saved 17? She sets it down, picks up her medical bag. Knowing when to use this instead, that's what we're here to learn. Questions. A young corpsman raises her hand. Reese Holland, 23, eager, scared. Exactly who Maya had been before the desert asked its questions. Ma'am, how do you live with the weight, the people you had to shoot? Maya recognizes her, sees herself in that question. You live with it by remembering why you picked it up, by honoring the weight instead of running from it, by teaching others so they don't face the moment alone. She meets Reese's eyes. And by understanding that being a guardian means sometimes your hands do hard things so other people's hands don't have to. The class runs 4 hours. Ballistics basics, medical priorities under fire, decision frameworks, when to engage, when to extract, theory and practice, knowledge and wisdom, after Walsh approaches. 6 months of training has turned the nervous young medic into someone steadier, more confident. The Review Board approved expanding to 3 more states. Virginia wants the curriculum. North Carolina, Texas. They're calling it the Cross Protocol. Don't call it that, Maya says quietly. Call it Integrated Combat Medicine. This isn't about one person. It's about a principle. The brass are already calling it that, ma'am. Can't stop it now. She sighs, knows he's right. Legacy has a way of attaching to names whether you want it or not. That night alone in her quarters, Maya finally makes the call she's been avoiding for 6 months. 3 rings. 4. Then her mother's voice. Maya. Hi, Mom. I heard about what happened, about the convoy. Your commander called me, told me what you did. Maya's chest tightens. Mom, I know. I promised. At Dad's funeral, I promised I'd never. He told me you saved 17 people. He told me you used your father's rifle. Silence stretches between them. Maya can hear her mother breathing. Can almost see her standing in the kitchen in Tucson, one hand gripping the counter, the other holding the phone too tight. Mom, I'm sorry. I know what I promised. Your father had a letter, her mother's voice cracks. Sealed. He made me promise to open it only if you ever picked up a rifle in combat. I didn't want to open it. I wanted to believe you'd never have to. What did it say? A long pause. Then her mother's voice softer. It said he knew you'd end up exactly where you are. That you had the gift and the heart to use it right. That I should be proud instead of afraid. Tears come. Maya doesn't stop them. I'm sorry, Mom. I know it's not what you wanted for me. What I wanted, her mother laughs, bitter and wet. I wanted your father alive. I wanted you to never know what it feels like to take a life. I wanted you safe, quiet, honest. Is that so wrong? No, but it's not the world we live in. Another pause. Then her mother's voice different now. Resigned but not defeated. I know, your father knew. He tried to protect you from it. Tried to give you a choice. But he also prepared you because he loved you enough to know you'd do the right thing even when it was the hard thing. Are you angry with me? I'm terrified for you. There's a difference. Her mother takes a breath, but I'm also proud. Your commander told me you left the rifle to save that chief's life, that you did CPR while bullets were flying, that you chose healing first even when you had the power to keep fighting. That's what your father taught you. That's the gift. They talk for another hour about the investigation, about the training program, about how her mother kept every letter her father ever sent from Afghanistan, about how grief changes shape but never leaves, about how proud her father would be, about how scared her mother still is, but how she's learning to live with it. Come home when you can, her mother says finally. Let me see what you've become. Let me see my daughter who's both things at once. I will. Soon, I promise. I know you will. And Maya, your father was right. You do know which moment requires which hand. Keep knowing that. Keep being that. But come home alive. That's my only requirement now. Yes, ma'am. I love you, baby. I love you too, Mom. 3 weeks later, the mission comes down. Convoy escort, Northern California. Sacramento to Camp Roberts. 6 vehicles. 42 miles. Medical supplies and ammunition. Similar terrain to Sultan Ridge. Similar risk profile. Intelligence assessment, low threat. Routine training evolution. Maya reads the briefing and feels something cold settle in her chest. The same words. The same assessment. The same promises that meant nothing when the first RPG flew at Sultan Ridge. But this time she's ready for both outcomes. Stone catches her eye during the briefing, holds her gaze for a moment. He remembers too. Remembers how routine became catastrophe in the space between heartbeats. Cross, he says after dismissing the team. You good for this? Yes, sir. It's okay to be nervous. Last convoy that looked like this. I know, sir, but that's exactly why I need to do this one. Need to prove that Sultan Ridge was the exception, not the rule. He nods. Barrett's secured in Vehicle 4 with you. Medical bag prepped. Always, sir. Good, because we both know which one you'd rather use. The convoy rolls out at dawn. Maya in Vehicle 4 with Reese Holland giving the young corpsman her first real convoy experience. The Barrett secured in its case. Medical bag prepped and organized. Both hands prepared for whatever comes. Walsh drives. 6 months has turned him from nervous kid into solid professional. Doc, you think anything's going to happen today? Hope not. That's always the goal. Reese shifts nervously in the back. Ma'am, does it ever stop seeing the threats after Sultan Ridge, I mean? Do you ever stop looking for ambush sites? Maya watches the terrain roll past. Sacramento Valley heat climbing toward 90. Canyon walls in the distance. The same tactical terrain features that make her automatically calculate fields of fire and sniper positions. No, she says honestly, but you learn to see the beauty too. The way light hits the rocks. The way the road curves. You carry both. The awareness and the appreciation. That's the balance. Stone's voice on the radio. All units maintain interval. Radio check every 15 minutes. Let's make this boring. The miles scroll past. 15, 20, 30. Radio checks every 15 minutes. Stone's voice steady and bored. Exactly the tone you want on routine missions. Maya's hand doesn't drift to the Barrett case. Stays on her medical bag. Ready for heat casualties, dehydration. Any of the mundane emergencies that kill more soldiers than bullets ever do. 35 miles. Canyon ahead. Narrow walls, high ground on both sides. Reese notices Maya looking. Ma'am? Just checking terrain, professional habit. Looks like bad ambush terrain, like Sultan Ridge. It is, but that doesn't mean anyone's there. Most dangerous terrain stays empty most of the time. That's why we call them routine missions. 40 miles, almost there. No ambush, no contact, no crisis requiring impossible choices. 42 miles. Camp Roberts gates ahead. The convoy pulls through, stops, engines cutting off one by one. Normal, boring, perfect. Maya sits in Vehicle 4 and feels something release in her chest. Relief mixed with gratitude, mixed with the understanding that this is what sustainable service looks like. Not the glory moments, the boring ones. The missions where nobody needs saving because nothing went wrong. Reese turns to her. Is it weird that nothing happened? No. Maya opens her door, steps out into California sunshine. This is the goal. This is what we train for. The Barrett stays in its case. The medical kit stays closed. Everyone goes home. But you carried it anyway, the rifle. Always carry it, always be ready, but hope with everything you have that ready is enough and using it isn't necessary. She looks at the young corpsman. sees herself 6 months ago. That's the balance, Reese. Preparation without eagerness. Capability without hunger. The best warriors are the ones who'd rather heal. The best missions are the ones where healing isn't needed because nothing went wrong. Stone approaches. Good mission cross. Exactly as boring as advertised. Best kind sir. Debriefing in 20. Then you're clear for liberty. He studies her for a moment. You did good today. Carrying both but using neither. That's the mark of real wisdom. Thank you, sir. How's Holland doing? Maya glances at Reese, who's helping Walsh unload supplies. She's got the instincts, just needs experience to trust them. Like someone else I know. Stone almost smiles. Keep teaching Cross. The program's working. Had 3 more service branches request observer slots last week. Army Special Operations Command wants to integrate it into their pipeline. You're changing doctrine. We're changing doctrine, sir. This was never about one person. Maybe. But it started with one person willing to carry both hands and know which one the moment requires. He claps her shoulder. Take the weekend. Go see your family. You've earned it. That Saturday, Maya drives to Tucson. Her mother meets her at the door. They hold each other for a long time without speaking. Some conversations require silence first. Inside over dinner, her mother made from her father's favorite recipes. They talk about the training program, about the students who are learning to carry both tools, about the mission 3 weeks ago that stayed routine. You look better, her mother says, less weight in your eyes. I had a mission this week, similar to Sultan Ridge. Same terrain, same setup. But nothing happened. No ambush, no shooting, everyone home safe. Maya pushes food around her plate. It helped. Proved that Sultan Ridge was the exception. That most missions end boring. And that's what you want, boring. That's what I hope for every single time, Mom. The Barrett stays in its case, the medical kit stays unused, everyone comes home. That's the dream. That's the goal. She meets her mother's eyes. But I carry both, just in case, wow. Her mother reaches across the table, takes her hand. Your father would understand that. The carrying without the hunger. The readiness without the eagerness, that's wisdom. Sunday morning before driving back to Coronado, Maya asks her mother to come with her. They drive east into the desert, to the outcrop where Jake taught her to shoot, where the Barrett first knocked her flat, and she learned what recoil means, what responsibility costs. Sarah hasn't been here since Jake died. Maya can see it in the way her mother's hands tighten on the door handle as they approach, the way her breathing changes, the way 12 years of grief come flooding back with the smell of creosote and dust. They walk to the outcrop together, Maya carrying the wooden box, Sarah carrying memories. Maya opens the box, shows her mother what's inside. The ballistics notebook, the dog tags, the photographs, the letter, the spent casing from Sultan Ridge, the challenge coin, the photo of Jake treating the wounded soldier. He knew, Sarah says quietly, looking at the letter's date, June 2014. 1 month before he'd deployed, he knew he might not come back, and he knew you'd end up here. Did you know about the letter he left me? I knew he left you something. Didn't know what. He said it was for when you were ready, and I'd know when that meant. She touches the photograph of Jake treating the wounded soldier. He was always both things, warrior and healer. I married both, lost both, and now I see both in you. They sit on the outcrop, watch the sun climb higher. Talk about Jake's last leave before Kandahar, about the things he said that make sense now but didn't then, about how love means preparing someone for your absence, even as you pray they never need the preparation. Mom, Maya says finally, are we okay? Really okay? Sarah looks at her daughter, sees Jake's determination and her own compassion, sees the integration of 2 legacies into something new. We're okay. We're different than we were, but we're okay. On the anniversary of Sultan Ridge, Maya returns to the Arizona desert alone, not running from memory this time, meeting it. She sets up the Barrett on its bipod, places her medical bag beside it. 2 tools, both necessary, both honored, both unused in her last 8 missions. 8 convoys that stayed boring. 8 times the Barrett stayed in its case, and the medical kit treated only minor issues. That's the victory, not the shooting, the not shooting. The prepared readiness that creates space for peace. She opens the wooden box one final time, adds a new photograph. Her with Reese and 15 other students, all of them standing with Barretts and medical bags. On the back, mission continues, both jobs matter. Weight shared, most missions, both tools unused. That's success. She speaks to the wind in the desert, in the ghost of her father that lives in both. I get it now, Dad, all of it. Why you taught me both. Why you never made me choose. Why you trusted I'd figure out the balance. She touches the box. I broke the promise to Mom, became what you were, but I'm also what she wanted, a healer who saves lives. The wind carries her words away. Turns out I didn't have to choose. I just had to grow up enough to understand that being both isn't contradiction. It's completion. And most days being both means using neither. Just carrying them, that's the real wisdom. On the horizon barely visible, the oak tree her father planted 20 years ago stands stronger now. Roots deep in impossible soil. Surviving through adaptation and strength and the refusal to be only one thing. Legacy. Growing. Enduring. Maya drives back toward Coronado as the sun sets. Barrett in the back, medical bag on the passenger seat. Both carried, both honored, both ready, both unused in 8 straight missions. That's the victory her father prepared her for. Not the glory of Sultan Ridge. The boring grace of 8 missions that never needed her gifts. 8 times she carried both hands and used neither. The steadiest hands are the ones that know when to heal and when to fight. But the wisest hands are the ones that carry both tools and hope with everything they have that carrying is enough. Some promises break so greater truths can emerge. Some weights never lighten but become bearable through understanding. Some legacies aren't about the moments you use your gifts, but the moments you carry them unused, and that's exactly enough. The kind that saves lives, not always through action, sometimes through prepared presence. The guardian standing watch, ready for war, hoping for peace, with both hands.